Well, welcome back from the break. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party is definitely at crossroads as we speak, because the question is, who amongst the party's 10 flag bearer aspirants makes it to the top 5? Now, the battle lines are already drawn, and the victors and losers will be decided this Saturday. Ahead of the deciding hour, though, all the aspirants are upbeat about their chances, but many analysts believe it will be a three-horse race between Firebrand and Member of Parliament Kennedy Ejapon, former Trade Minister Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, and the Vice President, who many tout as the man of digitalization, Dr. Bawumia. Now, yesterday, the Alan campaign team said choosing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will mean the party won't have a message going into election 2024. Dr. Hussein side said he has the master stroke to win the election 2024 for the party, and in the process breaking the 8 as they want to. So what question will the Bawumia camp have with a little under 48 hours for the crucial decision to be made? Joining me in the studio now is a member of the Bawumia campaign team, Dr. Kabiru Mahama. Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
How is the economy looking like?
Yeah, I mean, we have had some turbulence in the past. We are now moving towards some stability. And once we attain the stability, I'm sure the Ghanaian people will have some respite.
Okay.
The difficulty of the past will soon become some joys, or some real joys at the end of the day. So there have been challenges. We've had turbulent times. Ghanaian economy has not been the best of shape. The economy before 2020 was much of a robust one, was much of an economy that supported growth, economy that actually was less harsh on the living standard of the Ghanaian people. After 2020, we have some turbulent period, and we are getting some respite. And I'm just hope and believe that the measures being put in place towards the end of the year will have some calm, and then we'll move into the following year with much more renew and rigor, hope.
This is August.
Yeah, it's August.
4 months to end 2023. I mean, what have you seen, or what do you know that gives you the confidence that indeed this economy will rebound?
Yeah, because we are curtailing our debt to GDP. One of the pressures or some of the heat transmission is how we have our economy through our debt stock. We have successfully been able to have an IMF program. Some funds are coming. We are supporting our reserve position. Inflation was 54%. It is coming down. Exchange rate is having some stability. Fuel prices is relatively calm. All that, these are the factors. We are also, I mean, this is the height of the food crisis. The rainy season has just started, and the food stock, I mean, very soon we'll have bumper harvest. And then food inflation is likely to also come down, moving towards the way. So a lot of things are happening. And I believe that towards the end of the year, the 3 months left to end the year, or 4 months remaining to end the year, things will get much more better, and next year we'll start on a very good sounding and good footing.
How's the Bawumia camp shaping up ahead of Saturday's Congress?
Yeah, good. The Bawumia, we've done our campaign. We've done with in a very decorous manner. The Bawumia camp has gone through the constituencies. We have visited almost every constituency in the south. The Bawumia camp has also gone to meet the special delegates. Tomorrow, the campaign team will be wrapping up in the Ashanti region. We are in the Bono region today, and tomorrow we'll be wrapping up with the Ashanti region. The message of the Vice President is very clear. It's a message of hope. It's a message of believing in Ghana and a different vision, a vision that is going to build on the successes that have been achieved, a vision that really understands the current challenges of the economy. The Bawumia campaign is very mindful of the fact that we are a team, and then at the end of the results, at the end of the day, November 4th, where the ultimate will come, we will need everyone on board. So we are very decorous in our campaign. We are very mindful of the fact that we are one house fed. Our major opponent is the NDC. And the NDC is what we should be focused on not our individual selves or on the members of the NPP who are aspiring to lead the party.
So what message is the camp delivering to the delegates that look at us and choose us amongst the 10? Good.
So presidential elections is based on several factors. One, you look at the record of the person. Okay, Bawumia has got enviable work experience than any of the candidates in government, out of government. Okay, he's the most experienced vice president this country has ever had. Okay, among the candidates, he's got much more experience running with Nana Akufo-Addo for 4 elections. No, none of the candidates has got that experience. Be at the helm of affairs in the management of the company, none of the candidates has got that track record. So that is one. 2, Bawumia has made I'll tell the non-parallel policy contribution. Most of the flagships of the government, things that we can look back and campaign on, things that the Ghanaian people will look back and say that these are actually real changing intervention. He's been at the helm of those interventions. Bawumia is mindful of that, and that is why he's going to campaign on. He is someone who has got a very distinguished personal character. Okay, the temperament of a leader, patience, humility, okay, understanding, wisdom. These are ingredients that will, this is oil that will grease the wheel of leadership. Okay, Bawumia has got that. Bawumia has actually come into this contest with very significant contribution to party. Look, you are going, the party is the machinery, the horse to go to the race with is a party. If there's any single person, individual who has contributed so much to the function of the NPP, the very survival of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia is non-parallel. None of them comes closer to him. That is something he's going to campaign on. Bawumia is going to campaign on the issue of tolerance, issue of unity, diversity, and also from the founding stock of the party. The leg he represents in the whole architecture of the NPP or the history of the NPP, he's going to campaign on that. He's going to campaign on the records of the NPP, be at the top of policy making in the government. So these are the messages. But at the end of it all, his message is that each and every of the 10 aspirants has got what it takes to be a leader. But in sportsmanship, there's always someone who has to score. The end goal of it is to win the 2024 election. And Bawumia has what it takes. In fact, he is the most competent person now to lead us into the election. And with this in mind, I think that the delegates are very discerning. They have bought into this message. They know that of the many, out of the multitude, few are chosen, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the chosen one to lead us. He's going to hold the flag of the NPP to victory 2024.
Many say that, if you look at the economy and where we are, how the turbulence we've been in, once he is the head of the economic management team and the man who was clothed with the responsibility to steer the economy to where it has to be, we cannot say that the same man should come and be the president with the performance or the way the economy is in now. How do you respond to that?
The vice president has never run away from the challenges of the economy. And that is a show of sportsmanship. That is a show of leadership. Many of the aspirants, some of whom were in government, okay, when at the midst of the challenges, they lost their voices. Okay, the vice president took to the occasion and explained to the Ghanaian people the reason why we were in the crisis and the measures being taken, the measures government were putting in place to address those challenges. That is a show of leadership. Okay, so in the first place, in the midst of the challenges, every person, the true measure of leadership is born out of difficulty, not in normal times. Okay, so if we needed to determine who is best fit to lead the NPP, then the best period we should have determined or can determine is the last 3 years. Okay, because that has been the most turbulent period of the party.
But isn't it the last 3 years that he has also not spoken too much on the economy?
The vice president,
the critical aspect of the economy itself, we've not had him.
The vice president for the last 3 years, I can say for the last 3 years, held major, except this year. But this year is a different year because we're in election campaign and you have to present your alternative to the Ghanaian people to buy into it. But the last 2 years, before this year, he has seized every single opportunity to address the country on every significant issue. But the issue is that, look, you're in government, stop talking and work. When he comes to a lecture or give proper solution, a group of Ghanaians will say that, look, you're in government, stop talking and concentrate on the job. So being in government is going to be something of course different from when he was in opposition. But the vice president in 2017 up to 2020, he never held lectures. He was working. Okay, in the midst of the crisis, he was called to come and speak, and he spoke to the Ghanaian people. He made the Ghanaian people understand that, okay, this is the genesis of the problem. And with the clarity of vision, we are very certain that he is the only person who understands this problem very well and can get us out of it. So those saying that the vice president does not have the gravitas to speak on issue of the economy, I say they are getting it wrong. But who else? Who understands the problem better than he? That we are not going to the election because we are going to the election with the feeling that Ghanaian people are disappointed in the NPP government. If that is going to be the case, then it's going to be a collateral damage because every member of the NPP is associated with the NPP government.
No, but that's the reality. Most Ghanaian people are disappointed in the NPP.
Ghanaians are not disappointed in the NPP. Ghanaians are not happy with the state of things as it stands now. Okay, and the Ghanaian people are also in mind.
If you are not happy, what are you?
No, you may be indifferent. Okay, so we shouldn't go into that technicality. Someone may be happy, sad, or indifferent. All right. So Ghanaian people also understand that. Look, but given different context and scenario and in terms of geopolitics and global context, things would have been different. Ghanaians were not complaining before 2020. Even if they were complaining, it was not as it is now. Okay, something might have happened that your father, who was taking good care of you, all of a sudden is not able to provide adequately as you expect. Something might have happened. So it is for the reasoning of the Ghanaian people, is for them to trigger their rationality to understand that, look, these people were doing better, far better than the alternative until something happened. There is that tendency for the Ghanaian people to give that government the benefit of the doubt. So I don't think that the happiness in the economy, the happiness in the global context is enough measure. The economy is not the only measure of whether to vote the economy, the government to power or not.
What else?
We have social safety net. How you are able to protect the vulnerable in the midst of the economic challenges. We have the education, how you are able to ensure quality and ensure that people have access to education. Okay, we have allowances to teachers. How you are able to support poor homes for them to be able to train as teachers and nurses. We have agricultural programs. How you are able to support your family with subsidies. Okay, we have technology and transformation. How you are able to make the ease of doing business in your country. Businessmen will approach it with a different angle. Okay, so there are several factors they will consider. So I don't think that using one yardstick is enough. Either in that, then the NDC will not have any chance of ever coming to power because they have given the worst in terms of economy. But still, they still hope and aspire to come back to power. In fact, with no less a leader, but the one who sent us to that mess. Okay, so this is the state. And I think that those who always go with the current crisis and say that in the first place, except one or two of them, all of us have been part of it. If you are chairing a board which has a contribution to the national economy, if you are a minister which has a contribution to the national economy, if you are a member of parliament which oversight responsibility to ensure that government is on its knees, on its toes, working, you all have responsibility. We can't think ignorance. If you think ignorance is one mark of lacking leadership, because leadership is to embrace it and tell them that my contribution is to this extent. Okay? However, given the opportunity, I will do this differently. But you cannot just sit down and say, I was not on the driving seat, I was not part of the government, but you are going to the race with that horse. And if you make that horse, if you create the impression that that horse is a lame horse, and you cannot go to the polls with that particular horse, then you are basically not ready for power.
But I mean, how do you go to the Ghanaian people and tell them that in 2016, I took your exchange rate, for example, at 3.9, and today I've taken it to 12, but still maintain the same person who led the team to take us from 3.9 to 12.
The Ghanaian people will know that exchange rate variability, the movement of exchange rate, is something since time immemorial. 1992 has never been static. After redenomination, okay, we had almost $1 to 1 Ghana cedi, right? Some people brought it to 9. Some people brought it to 11.5, 11.3, whatever it is. What they are going to ask themselves is that, why is our exchange rate moving? At what pace is it moving? If these people were moving it from 1 or 5 or 4 to 9, and some are moving from 9 to 11, what is the extent of movement? That is the question you are going to. You have to look at the comparative or relative option. Which one is relatively competent? Because you know that our economy is largely import-driven. And to the extent that you have an economy being import-driven, you will always have turbulence of your currency against other major trading currencies. Right? That is a known fact. And we know that as far as our economy is concerned, until we start adding value and until we export more than we import, our currency will still be in that particular problem. Even if we are doing that, the fact that the USA currency is a vehicle currency makes it very, very strong against major trading currencies. Okay, so that is a fact that ordinary people with some better or a level of appreciation of how economies work would understand this. They will never say that, look, you took it at 9 and now it's now 11. If you do that, then you are lacking an appreciation of what is happening. And it is our part of our civic responsibility to educate you that these are not things that you can associate largely with a government, but you have to look at how competent, but for that initiative they have taken, how far would we have gone down the abyss? That's the question they will need to ask themselves.
Okay.
So for me, exchange rate dynamics, macroeconomic dynamics, and even that, we are not even running away from the records. We are telling them to compare our records, even in the midst of the crisis, with the alternative.
Okay.
When we do that, then we are in a good shape. But the moment people begin to say, okay, you took it, and even internally, those people have not even adverted their minds to the fact that, look, even in the midst of the crisis, there are certain, many of the indicators, this government is doing better than the alternative. Then you cannot crucify such a government. You cannot say that the leadership of that government is clueless. You cannot blame the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for that. You can only, of course, as a leader, he will take the limit. In fact, he's even willing to take responsibility as a leader, but tell you to the extent of his contribution to it. Okay? That is the context we are going to do. And I have no doubt in my mind that majority of the delegates understands that the Ghanaian people, at least the overwhelming absolute majority of the Ghanaian people, will give Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia a benefit of the doubt and the opportunity to correct the little challenges we have, then to entrust it to John Mahama. Because that's our ultimate focus.
When it gets there, I mean, we'll have the conversation between John Mahama and Bawumia if he is selected. But what does Alhaji Dr. Bawumia represent? I mean,
well, so you need to understand that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia comes with sacrifice. When you say sacrifice, we are looking at someone who has been loyal to party, someone who has been faithful to the Ghanaian people, someone who has been honest with the Ghanaian people, someone who is not corrupt. And this all comes at a personal discomfort. Look, he's the only one who sacrificed a very enviable job as a governor of the central bank, with all the hellebelly of politics, with all the uncertainty around the politics of our country, the risks it posed to his family, okay, the danger of our politics, took the call of the NPP and responded to the call of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and stepped out to the occasion. When the party lost, he has not known any job except the party's work. Okay, he comes with that sacrifice. The vice president comes with humility, that you will need a leader. Look, the sovereignty lies in the Ghanaian people as enshrined in the Constitution of Ghana. However, that sovereignty is sometimes exercised by the executive power that is wielded by the president to entrust the whole machinery, the power, to someone without the temperament. Imagine what this country will go into. Someone with the executive power without the right temperament. But when it comes with the appropriate temperament, leader who will make sure that cool head prevail, they take decisions rationally and make sure that they are sensitive to them. The vice president comes with someone who is very empathetic and sympathetic to the vulnerable. We've not had vice president in this country. We have had vice president. Every single year, this vice president is with the destitute, the lepers, the blind, working to ensure that they are comfortable. That is the kind of person we have. That's the kind of leadership this society needs. The vice president comes with innovations. Okay? Of all I have mentioned, of all the policy distinguished and very important national policies that we are currently touting as the achievement of the NPP, the vice president has been at the thick and thin of them. Okay? That is why he's coming. And in fact, we will even get, that is the breadth of that particular vision. With the person on the seat and opportunity to drive the development of the country, we will get to have the full benefit, the full package of his vision and his innovation. The vice president comes off as someone, look, apart few of them, he cuts across generation. It's the transition between the youth and the aged. Someone who pays his huge debt to the aged and also very much well aligned with the youth. If you don't have a leader who does not appreciate the happiness within the contemporary dynamics of our politics, someone, young person like you and I, can feel comfortable going to discuss national issue with someone who understands the nature and then the demography of the youth. then you are going to elect a bad leader. The vice president is someone who is a youthful president, who will be a youthful president, and but with the appropriate guidance of the aged. I cannot see any strong member or stalwart of the NPP speaking bad of Dr. Bawumia, irrespective of the difference you have with him. Okay, that's the kind of person he represents. He represents the hopes and aspirations of the country. Okay. Several countries, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, prominent people, the director of AFDB, all of them have spoke eminently of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Okay, that is the resources we are bringing. And the Bawumia is coming from an area where he understands life firsthand. He didn't have life over a silver platter. He understands what it is to work on the field, to fend for himself. He understands what it is to enjoy luxury. He is able to blend the two. Some people have had life easy. Okay, they don't appreciate the situation where the vulnerable and the poor find. The Bawumia has what it takes. He understands it. So these are the personal. And one more important thing, and as mentioned by the Reverend, what do you call it? The Reverend moderator. Okay, he is the unifying force of the country. Okay, this country has enjoyed relative peace, Christian-Muslim harmony. This country has enjoyed a very distinguished and a very cordial relationship between all sects. Okay, to have a Muslim minority given the opportunity to serve at the helm of affairs, someone who has been very active in Christian activities, is going to speak volumes of the tolerance, of the diversity of the country, Ghana. We've never had this opportunity to demonstrate to the world that Ghanaians are tolerant people, Ghanaians are embracing, Ghanaians are diversity aware people. This is the opportunity, and the vice president is the only one who presents that opportunity. So we need to embrace all this and make sure that we work for him to ensure that we put this country on a different level.
He's been a vice president for 8 years. What new thing is it bringing that should get the NPP to say, let him be the leader of our party?
The vice president is going to bring more electoral fortune to the NPP. At the party level, that is what matters. How? The vice president, as I mentioned, there are people who feel like you will never become a leader of the country if you belong to minority, irrespective of your competence. That alone does not invoke patriotism. That alone does not make people sacrifice for a nation. That alone is a bane on national development. Okay? And to have the NPP bringing a competent person who, irrespective of the minority he belongs, the tribal minority, the religious minority he belongs, the Ghanaian people judge him on the strength of his character, not on his family background, not on his religious background, not on his tribal background. That is something significant the NPP cannot get in any of the candidates by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Okay, Bawumia is coming in with a relatively different vision. Look, we always say that the vice president has had the vice president for vice president. Look, the constitution of the country has made the vice president of any republic of Ghana, of this republic, any president or vice president, to be the supporter of the president. You must first align with the vision of the president. And each generation has its needs. Okay? Each generation has its needs. We were dealing with the problem of free senior high school. Allowances. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has solved that problem and has made secondary education accessible. What of the tertiary education? Who is going to implement that? Who has the vision to implement that? What about making systems work? Who has the vision to do that? Who is going to implement that? But you see, the aura around the vision of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia tells us that, look, when you can tell that the food will be nice from the smell or the aroma of the food, right? If he's the vice president and he's giving us the benefit of all this I have mentioned, in terms of education, in terms of technology, digitalization, in terms of revenue, GRA, transforming GRA. As we speak today, GRA has been transformed. Register General has been transformed, and the Register of Company is different from the Register of marriages. Okay, this is to ensure efficiency. DVLA has been transformed, that their revenue has even increased by more than 150%. Okay, ECG is working. Okay, now who is going to complete that particular project that has been started? he has what it takes to start to complete it. None of the candidates understand how all of those things started. So if they don't understand it, how would they even ensure that they are sustained?
How would you say they don't understand when some of them have been part of this government?
Because they have told you that they have never been part of the government.
But in one breath, you are saying that they should accept that they were part of it. They cannot run away from it.
So they could understand them, but the one who understands them better and best is the one who initiated them. You cannot tell me that I know your child more than you, unless of course you are an irresponsible father. Okay? So the one who has conceived the idea, so one who has birthed the idea, will certainly know it more than the foster. Unless, of course, the person died prematurely. But as far as the person is alive, he can tell that this is my child, even if he's blind. Okay? So we need to understand that none of them, most of the policies, none of them even knew how they came about. They only saw government communicated, touting these particular promises. Okay? So he understands that. And he is coming with that particular vision to complete what has been started, and then use that as a springboard to put this country in a different level. Look, he has been going with the slogan, "It is possible." Because we want to change the mindset of the Ghanaian people from thinking that what has happened in the advanced countries is not possible to have there in Ghana. When he started the drone medical service program, people were there all over making fun of it. Okay, laughing and thinking that it was something of a joke. Now it is a life changer. But for that particular service, many lives have been lost. Quantify the several lives it has saved. Not even in GDP terms that you can measure the lives that have been saved. But we've seen it as so seamlessly. And this is what he brought. And he will give us more of that. Look, he did not even come to government, but he had got this vision and ideas even in a book he has written. Before he even became, he had the opportunity to even become, the vice president of the country. But look, he has not had the opportunity to finish what has been started by the president, and he has also got in stock several other life-changing ideas. I sit with the vice president, I sit in meetings with him, I find out that the most difficult period of a crisis, he comes out with innovative ideas. Oh, this gold purchase program that is started by the central bank, okay, it is one of the brainchild of the vice president.
What benefit has it brought? Today, fuel prices are still increasing. It hasn't brought any benefit. You don't have to cite it.
You see, when fuel prices were going to 24 per liter, 24 Ghana cedi per liter, okay, we needed a solution. Everyone was on the government. Bring a solution. We are suffering. Government brought some solution. Of course, fuel prices will never be static. In fact, they will come down and go up to the extent that global prices of the product is increasing. Okay, but in the midst, when the crisis is as a result of foreign exchange problem, the scarcity of forex in your system, you must find ingenuity. You must find very, 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 if you like, very brilliant ways of crafting a policy that will address that. And he came with that particular policy, and that addressed the problem, no matter how momentarily. In fact, that particular project, an extension of it, has actually led to the increase in our reserves. Okay. Such a person, you cannot say he thinks on his feet when we are in crisis.
But my fuel, you said that this was going to lead to the reduction in price of fuel.
Hasn't it reduced?
How? Today the price of fuel is going up.
How much is it now?
It's I think it's 12.
It's 12. Something was 24. It has come to 12. If that is a reduction, of course, because global market prices also came down. So global market, as it is it not going up? So you see, so you cannot appropriate and reprobate in one or in another extent. We are telling that, look, when the problem is as a result of forex, the problem is as a result of scarcity, problem is as a result of forward pricing of the BDCs or OMCs. If that is the problem, and that was the problem at that time, we needed to fix it. And the vice president fixed it with that particular strategy, lifting some of the pressure off. Okay, the forex demand from the BOG by the OMG BDCs, and putting it on the go. Okay, and that solved a problem. No matter how temporal that will be, it provided respite, it provided relief, it provided some kind of briefing speed for the Ghanaian businesses and the individuals, households, to be able to function. Okay, so we need such leadership that when we are in crisis, people who can think on their feet, people who can who can innovate, people who can tell you that, look, in the meantime, let's do this. And the most important of it all is that, look, this country's problem has been, since time immemorial, corruption. Okay? This is one single person you can never even spell corruption around.
No, but he's been a part of a government who today, if you go out to speak to the ordinary Ghanaian on the street, will say, in the history of this country, this government is the government with the most corrupt cases ever. So how do you then take him out of that system?
Even the first basis, I don't agree with that, because
I'm saying that if you go and speak to the
Ghanaian people, I don't agree with you that a lot of Ghanaians will say that, because unless of course Ghanaians who were not exposed to the times before now. Okay. If there were a category of Ghanaians who didn't know what was happening, of course it's possible that someone who was in junior high school then probably would not have an appreciation of what is happening now as compared to what was happening then. The comparison will be difficult. But you and I, who have had the benefit of being at least relatively informed then and now, we should know that when it comes to comparison in corruption, this government will not come matching the previous administration. I mean, but hold on.
I mean, when it comes to the Transparency International, their corruption perception index, this government continuously, consistently has performed poorly compared to the past governments.
Look,
so how do you then say that?
Look, perception of corruption is measured with several factors. Okay. And I've always argued that, look, unless you are saying that the media of today is static, as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the proliferation of media, the sunshine on corruption, the reportage, and the safety that has been provided for journalists to report furiously and and without fear of, harm, are all things that make people be able to report on corruption, even semblance of corruption. We have cases being reported to the special prosecutor. In fact, special prosecutor even go for people without report. That will feed into the perception of corruption. If, for instance, people's money were stolen and they were never brought to public domain, and someone's money is stolen, and because the media has reported on it, it has become a perception of corruption. It will fit into the perception. So perception of corruption is one thing, but the reality, the actuality of corruption is another. So for me, I think that perception of corruption would always be there. In fact, it will always increase. We can have a leader. The difference is that you can be able to tell whether out of the many, whose is the perception favoring or is it against? And I'm telling you that of the many people who have assembled themselves for the power or to lead the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the only one among them who you cannot even smell corruption around. And that even if you have tendency, affinity to accuse the NPP of being corrupt, you will single-handedly pick him out and tell that for this man, he is not. And that is the angle, that is the brightest spot that every nation looks for, even in his difficult times, that you have to focus on this brightest spot in the midst of the darkness. And the Bawumia represent the light in the darkness.
Interesting. Shasaka Kelly on Facebook says, naivety and ignorance is okay. All right. Now, Ishawi, I have said, keep up the good work. It's possible BMW best to lead. DMB signal is strong. Hashtag Bawumia Connect. Abdul Fatah here says, meaning the current government is very tolerable, allowing journalists to do their work without fear or favor, and that's a great job. All right then. Many of you have been sending your comment. Keep them coming. But how do you respond to people who say that there's a tradition in the party that you came to meet Mr. A, so allow Mr. A to go? Yesterday, I was speaking to former ambassador to Canada, Mr. Ayukoyotu, and he said, well, President Kufuor battled with Professor Dubois. When Professor Dubois was off, President Kufuor came. Nana Akufo-Addo battled with President Kufuor. When President Kufuor was off the scene, Akufo-Addo came. Akufo-Addo did the battle with John Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen. When Akufo-Addo is going off, Alan should automatically come. And that Dr. Bawumia, who was smuggled in, he was brought in along the line, should not be the one to take over the reins of the party. How do you respond to that?
In the first, 1998, Alan, Alan was not even in the race. Nana Akufo-Addo, John Kufuor, and Konadu Aproko were the top most of four. When Kufuor won, and led the party into 2 victories. Okay, they never said, Alan never said that there were people in the queue before I came. Let me let them go before my time came.
Okay.
So why will it that it was convenient then for you to contest people and now think that it is not convenient for people to contest? That is defeatish. That is one. 2, the NPP's constitution is alien. The fact of that tradition is alien to the NPP constitution. There's no way, even either in written or practices or customs of the NPP, or if say tradition, that you find people saying, okay, this is next, this is next. There's nothing like the queue theory in the NPP. Okay, so if there's nothing like that, why will you even come to that? Now, are they telling us that we should jettison competence? We should jettison sacrifice? We should jettison contribution to party over the order of some so-called tradition? That is not the argument that I think that honorable people, distinguished lawyers and attorney generals should be making. Because if they make such argument, they are telling us that it doesn't matter. As far as I come to the seat to the table before you, no matter my contribution, whatever you come to do later, it doesn't matter. As far as I sat on the table before you, I should be made to lead the party. That does not engender confidence in the party. That is going to be the cause of the death of the NPP. If we ever ascribe to such a notion, okay, let this party be built on the strength of character of people. Let this party be built on the contribution of people. Let this party leadership be determined by the grassroots. Who knows what it takes to win the election for us at the polling station? Let no one sit somewhere to think that there's some kind of theory or queue that everyone, like stages of life, you must pass through in order to lead the NPP. Why didn't we say that someone in the queue should be brought out to support Nana Akufo-Addo to win the election? We didn't say that because we knew that we needed someone who can help us win the election.
But all of them in the race supported the party to win the election. You cannot say it was one person.
All of them supported, and I'm not by this belittling and diminishing anyone's contribution to the NPP towards the victory. Okay? But we can measure contribution of leadership on a scale. Just like everyone contributed to the independent struggle of Ghanaians, one person has always been mentioned to be outstanding, which is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Why do we say that he's outstanding? Because of the scale, the magnitude, the degree of contribution he had made to the success. Same to the NPP. Okay? We know that if there's any one single person who's been consistent with the NPP, at least in the past 15 years, okay, it is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So if from 2000
all the 10 have not been consistent with the party.
If there's one person who has been consistent, and I repeat it, who has been consistent for the party, is Dr. Mahmoud.
How do you measure the consistency?
Look, go to the party.
Because someone like Jogati has been MP for how long?
Go to the party.
Kennedy Japan has been MP for how long?
It's not about being MP.
Japan has been with the party for how long? You're talking about consistency. And I'm asking, how do you define your consistency then?
What I'm saying, someone who has been very consistent with them, go to the party and ask them, even in their difficult time, who has come to their aid in terms of supporting the party. Okay? Some of these people, the party machinery has to run. Okay? Some of these people know that we are running an NPP and none of them is coming as independent, but they are coming on the ticket of the NPP. But how the NPP has survived over time, most of them don't know. Okay, so if you don't know even how the horse, as term it, has survived over the years, why do you want to go to the race with that horse? So if I say the vice president has been the most consistent, and I mean he's been, apart from waiting for the party, he has supported the survival of the party all these years. Okay, come to consistency in government. The single person who has had the vitriolic attacks, okay, of the NDC is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Have you heard any of them mentioning Kennedy Japan? Have you heard any of them mention Akoto's name? Mentioning Mr. Alan Chiramanten's name? Or Jogati or
Well, he was on the ticket. He was on the ticket.
So
that's why.
So if he's on the ticket and he has suffered that particular attack, and he has been at the chopping box of the NPP and he has received them without complaint, he has worked and he has come out of that difficulty. He has been burnt in the fire and is now positioned to lead the party. No one there comes say there's a queue.
Okay. Suleiman Abdul Fattah says great submission by Dr. KB Mahama. DMB is the best option for NPP going into 2024. His sacrifice, contribution, and commitment makes him the best among his peers. Dr. KB Mahama for Wale Wale 2024, DMB for Ghana. Hashtag it is possible. Why are you going for Wale Wale?
That is so. That's not for another discussion.
Anyway, Prosperity says KB Mahama is doing fantastic with his deliveries. God bless the leadership of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Abdul Fattah Otia says there's a tradition, but times have changed, and for that matter, something must be done about the so-called tradition. Q theory will jeopardize competency, and that will affect not only the New Patriotic Party but Ghana. Bra Presdo says, please tell Dr. Kabiru that, okay, let's see, if the media will report growing perceptions of corruption under any government, same way they report a declining perception of corruption. Okay, Edwin Wayakoto Ade says, who keeps allowing, okay, all right then, I'll leave it there. But let's wrap it all up. What's your expectation of Saturday?
Saturday, I expect that the delegates will come out and they will start voting as on schedule. And at the end of the day, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is going to garner 70 to 80% of the total votes of 956 voters that the register we've been presented with. The 956 voters coming out, I don't expect. Of course, we are in a democracy and there are going to be few dissenting ones. Okay. People have family or other idiosyncrasies that they will consider, not competence to vote. Okay, and those people would virtually vote for other people. But I expect the overwhelming majority of the people would vote for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And that will be the first leg. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, some of them may come asking for, let's go for a consensus around that person to avoid wastage of resources. If they don't, in fact, our team is ready to go all out for the November 4th election, and we are sure of another overwhelming victory in that particular election.
You expect that they'll come around and say that because the person won, let's allow him to go?
That would be compromising. That would be building a party. That would be avoiding all this and some of the unnecessary attacks on each other. Because even if the leadership may not attack each other, their supporters are likely to, which may jeopardize the unity we want to have at the end of the election. So if they do that, the better. But it is not going to be, no one should even dare or contemplate imposing such an option on anyone. But if they do that in the spirit of, patriotism or being patriots as they are, they want to forge ahead as a united front. Why not? We can be acceptable. That could be acceptable.
Ibrahim Bafwa Pentin says KB is doing the Lord's work. Regards to Amafre Mpoma, incoming MP Sunyani West. Rashid D. Zeba says, we are proud of you, Dr. KB Mahama. Keep doing good for party and government. Edward Kofi Jamna says, the NDC is patiently waiting for the discredited Bawumia to defeat him in 2024. Well, KB, thank you for coming. It's surprising that we all say KB. Anyway, but thank you for passing through.
Thank you very much for
having us. The best.
Thank you.
Well, so Dr. Kabiru Mahama speaks for the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign team. Let's see how it goes on Saturday. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Good.